Good morning. How are you doing? So I hope you didn't think that I was just going to leave you with an Einstein quote on my grid and not have any context or any practical stuff with it. No, far from it. I want to talk you through a little process actually that I used based on this. So the quote that I shared earlier was, and this is not mine, this is Mr. Einstein's. We are not the same people, clearly. We can't, although we have similar hair sometimes. And the quote is, "We cannot solve problems with the same thinking we used when we created them." And today, you might be feeling a bit stuck. You might have a whole list of things that you want to be, do, and have. You might have a to-do list. You might have goals that you want to achieve. But alongside that, you might be feeling all the feels, like what's going on in the world? Is this going to happen for me? Do I have enough time? Who am I to do this? All of the things. And I always talk about this in my sessions when I'm working with people at a deep level and for a consistent period of time. I always talk about this triangle, which is, it's that sort of equilateral triangle. Let's use a mathematical term right there. And it's about the vision, first and foremost. So the vision on one side, I can't see who's joining. Maxine, hello, how you doing? So I talk about this equilateral triangle. On one hand, it's the vision. Like, what do you want? What's your version of success? Because we've heard all of these things, haven't we, on the internet? The 7-figure year, the 6-figure launch, all the rest of it. But it's like, what does that mean for you? Getting really clear on what that is. The second thing is about the strategy, like how do you get from A to B? And secondly, it's the mindset. If you don't believe that you can do something, sorry about the sirens, if you don't believe that you can do something, or if you're, I guess, not opening up to thinking, actually, I need a bit of help in this area, or actually that pesky voice in my head that says I'm not good enough, like it's not helpful, and I need to look at it and I need to think about it. So that's why I always talk about these big goals as that equilateral triangle, because it's not just enough to go, I'm gonna dream big and off we go and I've got some stationery. Like, sometimes you just got to do the nitty gritty work. So going back to this quote that I shared, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. I'm going to give you a little exercise which might help in terms of making this practically work for you. So whenever I'm feeling this sense of up level, oh my goodness, that's such a coachy word, like I'm up leveling myself, or basically the roller coaster moment, which we think is going to be like, la, 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 I'm looking around. But I always, when I'm in that situation, I have that. I'm holding on for dear life. Like if somebody took a photo of me, I wouldn't be looking at the camera. I'd be like this. Kind of, it would not be pleasant in any shape or form. So this up level, for some reason, sounds like it should all be glorious and easy and breezy, and for the most part it really isn't. It takes time, it takes adjustment, it takes editing, decluttering, all of that good stuff. So sorry about the sirens, it's London morning craziness. So when I'm knowing that I want to go to the next level for a big goal, for whatever it is that I'm doing. And sometimes that isn't a money thing. It's like, I want to feel like my business is like this was one of my goals for September. Like I wanted to feel like my business was really robust in September, so I could have that time out to be able to take my son to school and to be able to hold that space for him, and not feeling like I suddenly had to go, oh my goodness, right, I've got to do this, get in the car, la 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 la. Like I didn't want to do that. So if you can think about things in terms of your 5 senses of what you need to bring in and what you need to let go of in order to change your thinking around this. So firstly, if you've got a goal, if you've got something brewing that you're like, do you know what? I really would like to go for this. This thing, whatever it might be, keeps popping up again and again. And it's actually time. This is a moment that I had on my run this morning. It's actually time I do something about it. There we go. So I work through my senses. So if I go with the sense first of sight, what do I need to see in order to get me closer? So what do I need to bring in? Sometimes when it's about sight, it's about what do I need to see around me? Do I need to have a cluttered bedside table? Probably not. Do I quite often? Yes. But I know that if I have that morning routine in place, if I feel I've got 2 small children, let's not pretend that we're all sleeping 15 hours a day. But if I feel fresh, if I feel like I've got clarity, if I'm seeing my goals written down every day, that's more of the stuff that I need to bring in. So if I'm not meeting where I want to be, it's probably because I've written it in a book somewhere and I haven't been paying attention to it. I'm probably being stuck somewhere else. So I get really conscious about what do I need to see? What do I need to start bringing in more? And secondly, what do I need to let go of? I need to let go of watching the news all the time or being on my phone late at night. I don't need to see these things. And this is not about me going, oh, it's not affecting me, so it's nothing to do with me. Absolutely it is. But there's a time and the place for that. There's a time to be really discerning about what I need in that moment. Then if we go into hear, so what do I need to hear? I need to hear, in terms of bringing it out, that my thing that I've done is possible for somebody like me. It can feel quite lonely sometimes when you're going for a goal or you're starting something fresh. And I remember that moment 20 years ago when I moved to London. And basically everybody in my life told me I was kind of an idiot for going for this. Like, I'd never have any work. I'd never, London was a dangerous place. Good morning. London was a dangerous place. I'd spend my whole, even one of my teachers as an A-level teacher said, well, if it doesn't work out, love, you can, there's always jobs in lap dancing. There was very little support in pursuit of my dream. And I get it, people were having their own dreams, people were doing those other things, but I had to consciously make that decision of what I was available for in terms of going for it and being aware in that moment. Oh, you relate. Yeah, I know. I hear you. And people love to give feedback, don't they? And I'm sure they mean it in a good way. And I say that in a kind of jokey way, but some people seriously don't, because sometimes you might be revealing something that they're like, oh, that's annoying that she's doing that. So, sometimes you might be a bit of a trigger for somebody as well. So hearing possibility. I love it when people share with me what they've done, how they've done it behind the scenes, when they're sharing stories. That really inspires me. So be really conscious about what do you need to hear in order to get there. If, for example, you're starting your own business, it's probably not going to be useful, hearing from your dad's second cousin who's going to go, oh yeah, I started a business once. Biggest pile of shite I've ever done. You don't want that person, because it might be that they're out of date. And of course, thank you for, I don't know, sometimes somebody might give one lovely piece of advice where it's like, don't sign a contract before you've read it. Brilliant. That I will take that. Thank you very much for that lovely piece of advice. But generally, you don't need somebody else's doom and gloom, especially if it's outdated. So sight, hear, smell. Oh, isn't smell evocative? I was out on my run this morning and I smelt a man, not closely, but he was quite overpowering as he was coming towards me. And it took me back to a time immediately. I don't know who this person was. I don't know if it was a night out. And it was so, it just took me to that place. And it was so familiar. And so when I'm going for these goals, thinking about smells and how I want to feel. You're so right, innate. Yes, I know. You've still got to believe in yourself, right? But that's the hardest thing sometimes, because you don't have any evidence. You have to dig deep, and I'm like, come on, Raby, you can do this, and you just feel a bit of a twerp. But anyway, you've got to dig deep. So yeah, thinking about those smells, what do you need? Are you in a point where you're feeling like you're feeling anxiety, anxious, or you feel like you just need a bit of grounding, or you just feel like you need a bit of comfort sometimes. Like, one of the weird things that I do sometimes when I'm having that up level, like suddenly my washing becomes like a bit of a project. Like, I feel like when I'm up leveling, I need my washing to smell really good, because there's something about that on my skin that just goes, you're all right. It's like when you're at school and, you know, one of the dinner ladies used to take you and go, you're all right, come and have a sit down. Look, do you want a little drink? It's not a little drink as in that, but like they take care of you in that way. So I really realise what I need to do in those ways. The fourth one about taste. So really noticing what's going in my mouth and what's coming out of my mouth. My goodness me, we can all talk about the weather, how tricky things are, how we're so busy, we're so overwhelmed. I want you to check in with yourself today and go, is that actually what I mean? Or have I just started doing it? I have to be really careful at the school gates, actually, where people go, oh, hiya, morning, whoo, and we're all sort of talking in this weird way. And actually, there's some mornings where I am not shouty mum, but I am a bit like, come on, we need to go, let's get your shoes on. And that's always the moment when they're like, we need to have a costume today. I'm like, interesting, at 18 minutes past 8 in the morning that you've chosen that moment to reveal this to me. But really noticing what I'm saying, and am I being truthful, or am I just saying in that moment what's expected, you know? And I'm not saying that I want to go to the school gates and go, hi guys, I am busy building my dream and my life, and you know, I am such a superstar. I'm not doing that in the slightest. But equally, I've got to really protect my energy in that moment and really make sure I'm not leaking it so it's going here, there and everywhere. Number 5 rather, that touch and feel. What are those things that are going to be really grounding? Again, when I'm going through an up level, I have this urge to cook like really good food. I actually go the other way, where I probably eat more, and I make stuff from scratch. So yesterday I was doing my planning for the week, and I was like, I am going to make a really good bolognese, and I'm going to take time, and I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to let it cook for 2 hours. So I need that kind of, that feel, that touch. Also, I've said to Matty this morning, like, we want some new bed sheets. So, yeah, those kinds of things, really taking care of that. And thinking also about the stuff that you don't need, that you can let go, that is just not necessary in terms of where you're going. So there may be things that come into your life or have been in your surroundings, been in your house, where you're like, that person bought me that present, which I'm sure came from a lovely place, but it's not aligned with you, or somebody bought you something because you thought that they should have it. And yeah, all kinds of things. You can do that work around yourself. And the 6th one, which I couldn't leave out, is that instinct. What do you need? What do you need in order to find that solution? I had it when I went on holiday at the end of August. I had that instinct. I needed to close my laptop. Close your laptop. Close it, close it, close it. You're unavailable for doing more, because actually, this is how I talk to myself. Actually, I'm like a pageant mom, like, actually, this is what you need to be doing. I had to pause. I had to stop. I had to look at what was going on. I was really, really needing that break. And I could have quite easily ignored all those feelings. Oh, I've never heard of this advice before. I'm so glad. Thank you. And yeah, it's about thinking all of this stuff of your instinct. So you know when you, and your instinct can show up in different ways. Like maybe you're not going to do that package anymore. Or maybe the way that client thinks it's okay to operate with you, maybe you don't want to do that. Or maybe you need to take a page off your website. It can be really practical. But sometimes it's having that space and that intuition to really listen to it. Do you need to tell somebody what your business actually is? So whenever I'm going through an upgrade, I'm very candid with my partner about where I'm going and what I'm doing and what are the next steps. Not in a kind of like, right, this is what I'm doing, but if he has an idea of what I'm trying to build, we can then make it really practical. So going through that equilateral triangle that I've spoken about, if I talk about my vision with him, we can make the strategy around that in terms of childcare, in terms of us both getting what we need from the situation. Also the mindset, you know, if I've told him what I want to do, and he's going to do this in a very healthy way, that he might not know that that's out of my comfort zone. So he's going to be gentle, or he's going to say, you can do it. Come on, you're doing so well. That being said, be careful who you share your equilateral triangle with, because actually there are some people who are not worthy of it, or who won't understand it, or won't hold space for it. So those are my things today. I didn't want to just put a random little Einstein quote up and just kind of walk away from it, because actually these quotes, yes, they're meaningful, and you might read something and go, ooh, but I always want to go, so how can it work for you? What does this look like in real terms? So I hope you have a really lovely day, whatever you're doing, and maybe just pick one of these. I think sometimes it's like if you start decluttering your house, you're like, oh my goodness, I've got to do every room. I've got to chuck everything into the living room. Just start with one and go with the one that you're drawn to first. Go to the one. I'm so pleased. I'm going to update it as a podcast as well, and it will be on IGTV, so it's all there whenever you need it. Really listen in to the one that you're pulled to. So you don't have to do them all. If the taste thing is not for you, or if you're like, I'm just quite happy with the stuff that I'm feeling right now, like, great. But it might be that site, and it might be that here that you go, actually, I'm not going to read the news in the morning. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give some sort of solid time to that. One final thing that I must say, how's my battery doing? Okay, I'm going to roll with it quickly. A friend of mine once saw a counsellor, and this counsellor said something absolutely brilliant to her, because she was worried, and she had a lot of anxiety, she had a lot of stress at work. And this counsellor said to her, when do you want to do your worrying? So she would put minutes in her diary every single day, and she'd do it at lunchtime because she would take it on a walk and all the rest of it, and she would use that as her worrying time. So what would happen is she would spend her whole time going, almost taking everything to the nth degree, like what would happen, I'm really worried about this, I'm really stressed about it, and she would focus it all within that time. And then what happened, as the stuff came up throughout the day, she's like, it's not worrying time now, I've got to do that at lunchtime. So suddenly she would park it and she would move on. So this isn't necessarily about, going, oh, worrying, I don't have a worry, I'm just a positive person. Like, we're all human beings, we're living, breathing, emotional beings, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to share that one as well, because that might be a good one. Also, if you can write any of this down in terms of the stuff that you've managed to do today or in that hour, really reward yourself. It might not be a tracking Excel sheet for you. There's an app that I use called Strides, which really helps me, because it helps me, if I want to track my water, for example. So if I'm feeling really tired in my body or something, I'm like, why am I feeling, I'm not drinking enough water. Sometimes that just really helps me get into the zone. So I will leave it there. Thank you so much for joining with me this morning. I really appreciate it. If you've got any questions around this, only I am available. Einstein unfortunately is not, but I think he's written some stuff. I'm sure he's written some stuff that you can enjoy. But I really appreciate it. Have a lovely day, whatever you're doing, and I'm sending you lots of love. Take care. Bye.